Summer break is officially less than a month away. Just sit with that for a second. In a few weeks, the school doors lock, the alarms go silent, and you are handed the most valuable currency you will ever own: completely unrestricted, unregulated free time. But let's be honest for a minute. How many times have you sat at your desk in May, hyping yourself up, telling your friends, this is the one, this is the summer I finally lock in. I'm going to get shredded, I'm going to start that business, I'm going to change everything. And then September 1st hits. You're packing your bag for the first day of classes and the regret hits you like a brick wall. You look back at the last 90 days and realize you did nothing. You woke up at 3 p.m., you scrolled until your brain was numb, and you played games until the sun came up. You let the entire summer slip through your fingers, and now you're heading back to that same miserable routine, looking the exact same and acting the exact same. That feeling of September regret is a poison, and we aren't letting it happen this year. The problem is that most people view summer entirely wrong. They see 3 months of freedom and think, I have so much time. I can just relax. I'll start the gym next week. I'll start that project in July. They stretch their laziness out to fill the void. You need to view summer as an incubation period. It is the single greatest opportunity of your entire year. Think about the number one excuse people make from September to May. Why haven't you started that side hustle? Why haven't you learned that skill? I don't have time. And look, during the school year, that's a fair point. Between 8 hours of classes, practice, and homework, your time is a limited resource. But in the summer, that excuse is dead. Unless you're working a grueling 60-hour work week, you suddenly have 16 hours of waking free time every single day. If you've ever had that quiet voice in your head saying, I want to start a clothing brand, or I want to learn 3D modeling, you have zero excuses now. Summer is the time to take those massive risks because the penalty of failure is zero. You aren't balancing it with a math final. You can lock yourself in your room for 5 hours a day, obsess over a skill, fail 100 times, and actually figure it out. Then there's the physical side. I hear guys say they don't want to hit the gym because it's hot, or they want to just chill. What are you talking about? Summer is the optimal time to evolve. You aren't destroying your posture at a desk all day. You have the time to actually prep real meals instead of eating cafeteria garbage. You can dial in your recovery and your sleep. If you put in the reps now, while everyone else is rotting on their couch eating ice cream, imagine what happens in September. You walk back through those doors and you are literally a different human being. You are light years ahead of everyone who decided to take 3 months off from self-improvement. But listen, when I talk about the grind, I'm not telling you to live in a cave for 3 months. That's the other extreme, and it's just as bad for you. Part of not wasting your summer is actually remembering to live. In most parts of the world, it's dark and miserable for 80% of the year. When the sun finally shows up, it is a crime to stay indoors. If you spend the whole summer breathing recycled air in your bedroom, you're going to get that dusty feeling. You know the one. Your brain feels foggy, your body feels heavy, and you feel like a ghost. The cure is simple. Go outside, go to the woods, go to the water. If you live in a concrete jungle, hop on a train and leave the city for a weekend. Disconnecting from the digital world and putting your feet on the ground for even 3 hours resets your nervous system. It kills the brain fog and makes you feel human again instead of a screen zombie. The goal is balance. Spend your mornings building your empire or hitting the weights, and spend your afternoons in the sun experiencing your youth. The real reason people fail at this is a lack of structure. For 9 months of the year, your life is scheduled by someone else. You're told when to wake up, when to eat, and when you can leave. You have a rigid frame holding you together. But the second break starts, that frame vanishes. You're left with a 24-hour void. And I promise you, if you don't build a routine to fill that void, the void will fill itself with garbage. Your wake-up time will drift from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Your days will blur until you don't even know what day of the week it is. You have no anchor points. To win this summer, you have to be your own boss. I'm not saying you need to do 4 a.m. ice baths unless that's your thing, but you need a daily framework. Set a real alarm. Have one non-negotiable goal to finish before noon. Once you kill that one hard task, the rest of the day belongs to you guilt-free. And while you're out there enjoying that time, avoid the biggest trap of the modern age, becoming a spectator. During the summer, everyone is posting their highlight reels. You see people on trips, people getting shredded, people living life. And what are you doing? You're lying in the dark, watching them do it. You're spending hours of your limited youth being an audience member for someone else's life. It's pathetic. Stop watching other people live and start building a summer that's actually worth documenting yourself. To show you what taking action looks like, I'll tell you my plan. I'm not staying home. I'm traveling across the world to the States. I've never been there. It's a massive risk and totally out of my comfort zone, but I'm doing it to meet my best friend in person. We've talked through headsets for years, and I refuse to let another year go by without making it real. I worked, I saved, I bought the ticket. We aren't going there to be tourists. We're going there because we share the same ambition and drive. When you take two people who want to win and put them in the same room, you multiply your results. We're going to grind and push each other in ways you just can't do over a Discord call. That leads me to my last point. Spend time with your real friends. During school, you're forced to be around people you don't even like. Summer is the filter. It shows you who your real circle is. If your boys hit you up to go hoop or hit the beach, get off your phone and go. Stop being the guy who says no because you're too lazy to put on shoes. You aren't going to look back at the summer of 2026 and remember the TikToks you watched in bed. You're going to remember the random side quests and memories you made with the people who actually matter. So, here's the bottom line. You are at the starting line. You're about to get a blank check of time. Are you going to cash it in for cheap dopamine and wake up in September full of regret? Or are you going to use it? Don't let this be another blur. Don't be the same person in the fall that you are right now. Take the risk. Start the project. Hit the gym until it's part of your DNA. Get out of the house, get in the sun, and make something happen. You have the time, you have the opportunity. Go do what you've been wanting to do. Use this summer to completely rewrite your story. Look at your hands. Right now, they are likely curved into the shape of a device that has stolen more of your life than any illness, any tragedy, or any enemy ever could. You are a ghost in your own existence. You are watching this on a platform designed to keep you here until your eyes burn and your brain feels like mush. You tell yourself you're staying informed. You tell yourself you're connected. But let's be honest, you are participating in a digital lobotomy. A lobotomy was a surgical procedure used to make difficult patients passive and easy to manage by severing the connections in their brains. Today, we don't need surgeons. We have algorithms. Your ambition has been severed. Your focus has been cauterized. Your ability to sit in a room and just think has been destroyed by a 6-inch piece of glass and plastic. You are being sedated by the very thing you think is your window to the world. And the scariest part isn't that you're being controlled, it's that you're paying for your own imprisonment with the only currency that actually matters, your finite, non-renewable time. Pause for a second and feel the weight of your body. Most of you are hunched over, your neck is strained, your breathing is shallow. You've spent the last 4 hours in a state of passive consumption, which is just a polite way of saying you've been a digital vegetable. You've seen 200 different clips of people you don't know, doing things you aren't doing, in places you'll never go. You've processed more information in the last hour than your ancestors did in a lifetime, and yet you are less capable than any of them. You have the library of human knowledge in your pocket, but you use it to watch people dance and argue about things that don't affect your bank account, your health, or your future. You think you're in control? You aren't. You are a lab rat in a billion-dollar experiment. Every like, every ping, every red dot notification was engineered by PhDs in behavioral psychology to trigger a micro hit of dopamine in your brain. It's the same chemical reward your ancestors got for finding a food source or surviving a hunt. But you're getting it for scrolling past a meme. When you hijack your brain's reward system like this, you break your effort to reward ratio. Why would your brain want to spend 6 months building a business or 3 years mastering a craft when it can get a win every 3 seconds by flicking a thumb? You've made yourself neurologically incapable of delayed gratification. This is why you feel unmotivated. You aren't lazy, you're just overstimulated. You've fried your receptors to the point where the real world feels boring, gray, and slow. You're waiting for a spark to change your life, but that spark is being drowned out by a flood of cheap digital garbage. Think about the last time you read a book for an hour without checking your phone. Think about the last time you worked on a skill for 90 minutes with 0 distractions. For most of you, that is an impossible task. Your attention span has been shredded. You've been trained to think in 1-5-second loops. You are losing the ability to have a complex thought, to follow a difficult argument, or to see a project through to the end. You are becoming a shallow human being. And in a world that is becoming increasingly automated, the only thing that will have value is deep work, the ability to focus. By staying on social media, you are literally devaluing yourself in the marketplace of the future. You are choosing to be a replaceable part of the machine rather than the man who builds it. Let's talk about the mental health cost. You are currently engaged in a game you cannot win, comparing your behind-the-scenes footage with everyone else's highlight reel. You see the travel, the cars, the bodies, and the perfect relationships. You know, intellectually, that it's 90% fake. You know there are filters, lighting tricks, and massive debt behind most of those images. But your subconscious doesn't care. It just sees that they are winning, and you are sitting in a dark room with a blue light hitting your face. This creates a constant, low-level radiation of anxiety. You feel behind, but you don't know why. You feel a sense of urgency to prove yourself. So what do? You post. You seek validation from strangers to fix the hole in your self-esteem that was caused by looking at other strangers. It's a closed loop of misery. You are building an ego on a foundation of sand. You're curating a life instead of actually living one. You'd rather look successful on a screen than actually be successful in reality. Social media has turned everyone into a performer. Your friends aren't your friends, they're your audience. Your experiences aren't memories, they're content. We've reached a point where people will literally stop enjoying a moment just to make sure they've recorded it. They are trading the now for a later that consists of a few likes from people who will forget the post 5 seconds after they scroll past it. This is a sickness. It's a mass delusion where we've decided that the digital representation of a thing is more important than the thing itself. I'm not speaking to you from a mountaintop. I'm speaking to you from the trenches. I remember the blur. I remember being 19. Taking a year off university because I was depressed and lost. I told myself I needed time to find myself, but I wasn't looking, I was hiding. I spent 12 hours a day in a digital haze. I'd wake up at noon, grab my phone before my eyes were even fully open, and scroll until my head throbbed. I was watching people my age travel the world, start businesses, and get in the best shape of their lives. I felt like a spectator in a world that was moving at light speed while I was stuck in the mud. I felt worthless, but the pain of my reality was too much to face, so I used the phone to numb it. It was a digital heroin. I'd scroll to forget that I was failing, and I was failing because I was scrolling. I looked in the mirror one night, 3 a.m., the only light coming from the charging cable, and I didn't recognize the man looking back. He was soft. He was tired. He had no edge. He was a ghost. That was the moment I realized that if I didn't kill this addiction, it was going to kill me. Not physically, but it would kill the version of me that was worth becoming. I realized that my identity wasn't rooted in my followers or my likes. It was rooted in my actions. And at that moment, my actions were zero. When I finally deleted the apps, the first week was a nightmare. I'm not going to lie to you and say it was peaceful. It was terrifying. I felt a phantom vibration in my pocket every 5 minutes. I felt a crushing sense of boredom that felt like physical pain. I felt out of the loop. I felt like the world was moving on without me, and I was being left behind in the dust. But then, around day 10, something changed. The fog started to lift. My brain, which had been screaming for constant stimulation, finally went quiet. And in that silence, I found something I hadn't had in years: energy. We've been taught to fear boredom, but boredom is actually a requirement for greatness. When you are bored and you can't escape into a screen, your brain has to find a way to entertain itself. This is where curiosity is born. This is where you start asking the big questions. Who am I? What am I doing with my life? What am I actually capable of? Without the distraction, I finally had the focus to work. I reignited old hobbies. I started training properly. I started reading. I started this channel. Everything good in my life today, every dollar I've made, every muscle I've built, every real connection I've formed is a direct result of reclaiming my attention from the algorithm. I didn't find more time. I stopped giving my time away to people who didn't care about me. But what about my friends? What if I miss something important? Let's address the fear of missing out, FOMO. You aren't missing out on life. you are missing out on irrelevant data. You are missing out on which influencer is dating who, what the new outrage of the week is, and which meme is currently trending. Ask yourself, in 5 years, will any of that information have changed your life? The answer is no. And the friends? Out of the 500 or 1,000 followers you have, how many of them would show up if your car broke down at 2 a.m.? How many of them would help you if you lost everything? Probably 3, maybe 5. Those are your friends. Everyone else is just a digital witness to your life. Real connection isn't formed through a heart icon. It's formed through shared struggle, real conversation, and being present. If your friendship dies because you stopped liking their photos, it wasn't a friendship. It was a transaction of attention. We've become a generation that is connected to everyone but known by no one. We have 5,000 friends but nobody to talk to when things get dark. We are the loneliest generation in history despite being the most digitally linked. This is the irony of the social media age. By trying to be part of everything, we've ended up being part of nothing. True community requires depth, and depth requires time. Time that you are currently spending on a Discover page. Imagine your life is a movie. Right now, the main character is sitting in a chair staring at a rectangle. That's a boring movie. Nobody wants to watch that. You were meant to be an explorer, a builder, a leader, a man of substance. You were meant to move through the physical world and leave a mark on it. When you quit the digital world, you re-enter the game of life. You start noticing the little things again, the way the air feels in the morning, the taste of your food when you aren't scrolling while you eat, the depth of a conversation when both people have their phones face down on the table. Your life starts to feel like a Ghibli movie, full of peace, tranquility, and presence. You aren't optimizing your life, you're humanizing it. You're moving away from the machine and back toward the social essence of what it means to be a man. You're building a life that is so good, you don't feel the need to broadcast it to strangers. The most successful people I know are the ones you hear from the least online. They are too busy winning in reality to worry about their digital shadow. The world is split into 2 groups, the spectators and the players. The spectators will spend their lives watching other people live. They will be the ones commenting, liking, and sharing the greatness of others while they stay exactly where they are. They are the fuel for the algorithm. They are the product being sold. The players are the ones who understand that attention is the ultimate leverage. They guard their focus like a hawk. They use the tools when they need to, but they never let the tools use them. They are building gardens while the spectators are chasing butterflies. I'm asking you a question that might sound ridiculous at first. If you had the chance to live a life completely free and away from the digital noise, would you? Most of you will say yes, but only a few of you will actually do it. Most of you will finish this video, feel a temporary spark of motivation, and then immediately scroll down to the comments to see what other people think. You'll be back in the loop before the screen even fades to black. Don't be that guy. The 9-0-day window is open. This summer is your chance to kill the ghost and bring the man back to life. Delete the apps, put the phone in another room, go outside, be bored, face the silence, build something real. Because the truth is, there is an incredible life waiting for you on the other side of that screen, but it's not going to wait forever. The digital lobotomy is optional. You can choose to wake up right now. So, are you going to keep scrolling, or are you finally going to start your life? Let me ask you a question that's going to make you feel sick to your stomach. In 5 years, when you're standing in the real world, who is actually going to care about the GPA you're losing sleep over tonight? Think about it. Right now, your entire universe is shrinking. It's closing in on a single number, a letter grade, or a syllabus. You've convinced yourself that if you don't hit that 3.8 or 4.0, you are cooked. You've tied your entire self-worth, your identity, and your future happiness to a piece of paper that was designed in the 19th century to produce obedient factory workers. You're sitting in a library at 2 a.m., surrounded by empty coffee cups and crushing anxiety, believing that this is the hustle. It's not. It's a performance. You're performing for a professor who hasn't been in the real world for 20 years. You're performing for a system that sees you as a tuition check, not a human being. And the most dangerous part, you're using this stress as a shield to hide the fact that you have no idea who you actually are outside of being a good student. You are falling for the biggest, most expensive lie in human history. Look at your friend group. Every conversation is a loop of mediocrity. How much did you study? What's on the exam? Bro, the curve is going to save us. You're basing your entire brotherhood on shared suffering in a system that doesn't care if you succeed or fail. You think you're leveling up because you passed a midterm, but you haven't moved an inch toward becoming a man of substance. You're just getting better at jumping through hoops. You're becoming a high-level employee before you've even had a chance to lead yourself. Let's look at the cold, hard reality of the college experience. Most people think of it as a temple of knowledge. It's not. It's a business. It's a 4 to 6 year subscription to a lifestyle that rewards passivity. You pay thousands of dollars to sit in a room and have someone read PowerPoint slides to you, information you could find for free in 10 minutes if you had the discipline to look. The system doesn't want you to be a builder. It wants you to be a spectator. It wants you to stay in the safe zone for as long as possible because a man who is studying is a man who isn't a threat to the status quo. While you're memorizing dates and formulas that will be obsolete by the time you graduate, the world is changing at light speed. The AI is learning your safe degree job. The economy is shifting, and yet there you are crying over a sociology essay like it's the end of the world. It's a digital lobotomy in slow motion. Everyone talks about student debt in terms of money. $30,000, $50,000, $100,000. That's bad, but it's not the real debt. The real debt is the opportunity cost. You are trading 4 of your most energetic, high testosterone, high ambition years for a certificate. Those are the years you should be taking risks. Those are the years you should be failing, starting businesses, building your body, and learning how to negotiate with the world. Instead, you're trading those years for a safety net that is actually a cage. You're buying a ticket to a middle-class life that is becoming increasingly unaffordable and soul-crushing. There is a specific kind of tragedy I see every single year, the straight A student. This guy is the pride of his department. He follows every instruction perfectly. He never misses a deadline. He is the ultimate Simon Says player. But look at him closely. He's terrified. He's so addicted to the gold star from the professor that he never takes a real risk. He is paralyzed by the fear of being wrong. In the real world, there is no syllabus. There is no rubric. There is no professor to tell you if you're doing a good job. The real world is messy, chaotic, and it rewards the man who can handle being wrong. This is why the C student often ends up hiring the A student. The C student learned how to fail in college. He learned how to handle the disappointment of a bad grade and keep moving. He learned that the system is just a game. And he spent his weekends building things that actually matter. The A student spent his weekends in the library, and now he's 23 with a perfect transcript and zero backbone. Unless you are in medicine, law, or high-level engineering, your degree is not a guarantee of anything. It's a maybe. You think the degree makes you qualified? It doesn't. Value makes you qualified. Can you solve a problem? Can you lead a team? Can you stay disciplined when nobody is grading you? These are the questions the real world asks, and these are the questions your introduction to psychology class never answered. Don't let a perfect transcript become a cage that keeps you from ever trying anything difficult. I remember the feeling. The university fog. I was in my second year, sitting in a lecture hall with 300 other people who looked just as bored as I was. I looked around and realized that most of these people were just waiting for the weekend to get drunk, waiting for the semester to end, waiting for their life to start after graduation. I was stressing over a history of philosophy test, funny considering what I talk about now, and I had a moment of pure clarity. I realized that if I spent the next 3 years being a good student, I would graduate as a shell of a man. I was hiding in the library to avoid the fact that I had no real-world skills. I was using my study time as an excuse to not work on my body, not work on my social intelligence, and not work on my future. I was busy, but I wasn't productive. I was just another ghost in the machine. I had to make a choice. I could either be the guy who has a 4.0 GPA and a weak life, or I could be the guy who treats college as a secondary task while he builds a primary empire. I stopped asking for permission. I stopped caring about the opinions of lecturers who had never built anything. I realized that my education was my responsibility and it wasn't happening in the classroom. Now I need to talk to a very specific group of you, the top G fans, the guys who watch one edit on TikTok and decide that college is a scam so they can justify being a bum. This is the most pathetic trap of all. You're failing your classes not because you're busy building a multi-million-dollar business, but because you're busy playing video games and rotting in your room. You use the school is a scam narrative to cope with the fact that you have zero work ethic. You tell your parents, Elon Musk dropped out, but you didn't drop out of Stanford to build SpaceX. You're failing community college because you can't stay off your phone for 2 hours. If you are failing college and you have no business, no gym routine, no skills, and no discipline, You aren't a rebel, you're just a loser. If you can't handle the discipline of sitting down and finishing a degree you started, how are you going to handle the discipline of running a company for a decade? Success isn't about skipping the system, it's about outgrowing it. If you can't outwork the A students while also building your own path, you aren't ready for the real world. You're just looking for a shortcut that doesn't exist. I know why you're stressing. It's not just the grade, it's the look on your dad's face when you bring home a 2.5. It's the fear in your mom's voice when she asks about your career path. You have to understand something. Your parents aren't obsessed with your GPA because they love the letter A. They're obsessed because they're terrified for you. They grew up in a world where a degree was the only path to safety, and they want to know you're safe. If you want them to stop breathing down your neck, you have to give them something else to believe in. You can't just tell them, I'm an entrepreneur, while you're eating Cheetos on their couch. You have to show them results. If you show them, look, I got a C in this class because I spent those 20 hours a week building this project, and here's the $1,000 I made. They might still be annoyed, but they will respect the hustle. Respect is earned through competence, not through arguing about the system. Outwork their expectations in the real world, and the pressure of the classroom will disappear. Imagine it's 5 years from now. Graduation day is long gone. That expensive gown is at the bottom of a closet somewhere. You're standing in the real world and the safety net is gone. Nobody is handing you a syllabus. Nobody is telling you what to study. For most people, this is the most terrifying day of their lives. They realize they spent 15 years learning how to be a student, but they never learned how to be a human being. They have no internal compass because they let the university build it for them. They're waiting for a grade from their boss to tell them they're good enough. They're waiting for a promotion to tell them they're successful. They are still children in suits, waiting for a gold star that is never coming. The world doesn't care about your effort. It doesn't care if you tried your best. The world only cares about one thing: value. What can you do? Can you solve problems? Can you handle pressure? Can you build something out of nothing? That is your real report card, and it's being written every single day, not just during finals week. The clock is ticking. While you're sitting there stressing over a statistics test, the version of you that you're supposed to become is waiting. He's waiting for you to realize that college is just a small, noisy room in a massive, infinite mansion. Don't let the walls of that small room be your entire horizon. Take your test. Be respectful. Do the work. But the second you walk out of that lecture hall, I want you to flip a switch in your brain. Stop being a student and start being a builder. Most people will spend their whole lives waiting for permission to start. They're going to wait for a lucky break. They're going to wait for the right time. Don't be like most people. The most important exam you'll ever take isn't on a desk. It's in the choice you make tonight when you close your textbook. Are you going to go back to the digital rot, or are you going to start building the man you were actually meant to become? Success isn't something that's given to you by a dean or a professor. It's something you have to take from a world that doesn't want to give it up. Hand in the paper, walk out of the room, and finally start your real life. I'll see you at the top. Your friends are quietly holding you back. You are being sabotaged by the people you trust the most, and the worst part is, they aren't even doing it on purpose. Every time you mention a big goal, a new habit, or a dream that sits outside the normal life, and they hit you with a "just relax, bro," or "don't take it so seriously," they are quietly installing a ceiling on your potential. You think your friends are a support system, but for most of you, they are actually a safety net that is keeping you from ever flying. Most guys treat friendship like a suicide pact of mediocrity. They think that loyalty means staying at the same level as everyone else in the group chat. They judge their progress based on the slowest person in the circle. If everyone else is gaming until 3 a.m., they feel okay doing it too. If everyone else is complaining about being broke or bored, they join in because it feels relatable. And frankly, that is a pretty stupid way to live. Because now, your future is being decided by the lowest common denominator of your social circle. You are letting people who haven't figured out their own lives tell you how to live yours. The world wants you to fit in. Why? Because a man who fits in is a man who is easy to manage. The people around you don't want you to level up because your growth is a giant mirror that reflects their own laziness. Most people in our generation aren't looking for real brotherhood. They're looking for a distraction. Relief from the pressure of actually doing something with their youth. They think that hanging out is a personality trait, but for most groups, it's just a sophisticated way of procrastinating on the work they know they should be doing. If your life is already weak, a squad of 5 other weak people won't make it strong. It will just make the weakness feel comfortable. That is the core of the trap. You think you're loyal for staying the same, but you're actually just being a coward. Real loyalty is dragging your friends up to your level, not sinking down to theirs. Solitude is better than a circle that makes you soft. That is the whole point of this video. Your friends aren't bad people, they're just bad timing. And if you don't realize that, you'll wake up in 5 years exactly where you are now, wondering where the time went. I've seen it happen so many times. Guys who used to have a spark, guys who used to train, work on their craft, and actually had an edge. They joined a circle where the standard was fine, and they instantly fell off. The discipline got weaker, the ambition went dull, their whole world shrank into the size of a couch and a controller. And when they finally look up, they realize they have less progress and a worse mood than when they were grinding on their own. That is a terrible trade. I felt that myself too. There was a period where I was surrounded by people who did nothing but talk about other people. I'd be on my PC, meant to be building this channel or working on a skill, and my phone would be blowing up with low-value drama. I wanted to be one of the boys. I wanted to feel like I belonged. And at some point, it hit me. This circle was not helping my life in any serious way. It was just eating my momentum. I had to learn to say no to the Friday nights that led to nothing. I had to learn to be the guy who was busy building something real. That is when I understood something critical. A man's value is not decided by how many people invite him out. It is decided by the quality of the mission he is on. Your discipline, your direction, and your self-control, that stuff only grows when you stop asking for permission from people who aren't even playing the game. When you choose a higher standard, you lose some people. That's not a tragedy. It's a filter. You clear out the noise so you can finally hear your own ambition. But let me make something clear. This is not me telling you to become a bitter hermit who hates everyone. That would be stupid. Being socially normal is a requirement for a successful man. You should be able to lead a room. You should be able to make eye contact, hold a conversation, and navigate the world without turning weird or desperate. That is part of being a confident man. But the difference is, a confident man chooses his circle based on where he is going. A weak man accepts his circle based on where he is stuck. Stop acting like you need to be part of the group right now. You probably don't. What you probably need is a better environment. You need to build your body, build your mind, and build your future. Because once a man actually starts winning, his circle changes automatically. Now he isn't looking for people to kill time with. Now he is looking for people who make him feel ashamed of his own laziness. It's the butterfly example. The guy who runs around chasing his friend's approval usually ends up with nothing but a wasted youth. But the guy who stays in his lane and builds a beautiful garden, the guy who works the soil of his own life, he ends up with the right people coming to him. And even if they don't, he still has a beautiful garden. That is how you win. Build yourself, build your mind, build your future. Then the people who actually match your drive will notice that. And if they don't, you still built a strong life. That's a win either way. A lot of young men are wasting years trying to be loyal to a circle that is quietly killing them. That mindset ruins lives. I don't think friends are useless. I think the average guy puts way too much importance on fitting in, when in reality, that effort is just a weight tied to his ankles. Your current circle is either a rocket or a weight. There is no middle ground. Stop running from the fact that you might have outgrown them. Go talk to people. Be normal. But keep your focus where it belongs, on becoming a man with something real behind him. Because the truth is, the right circle can multiply a strong life, but it cannot build one for you. Build your own life first. Then choose your circle wisely. Why your loneliness is a superpower. You are terrified of being alone, and because you're terrified, you are weak. Every time you feel a hint of silence, you reach for your phone, you open a tab, or you hit up people you don't even like, just to drown out the noise of your own thoughts. You treat loneliness like it's a disease that needs to be cured, but the truth is, your loneliness is the only thing that can actually save you. It is a superpower that most people will never have the courage to unlock. Most guys in our generation treat being alone like a failure. They think that if they aren't constantly surrounded by a circle, or if they aren't in a relationship, they are somehow behind. They judge their value based on their notifications. If the phone is dry, they feel worthless. If the room is quiet, they feel anxious. And frankly, that is a pretty stupid way to live, because now your peace of mind is sitting in the hands of other people. You are a slave to attention, and attention is the weakest thing you can build a life on. The world wants you to stay connected. Why? Because a connected man is a distracted man. The algorithm doesn't want you to sit in a dark room and think about your future. It wants you to scroll. It wants you to be a spectator in everyone else's highlight reel. Most people aren't looking for friendship, they're looking for relief. Relief from the crushing weight of their own potential that they are currently ignoring. They think that being social is the goal. But for most people, socializing is just a sophisticated way of procrastinating on the work they know they should be doing. If your life is already weak, more people won't make it strong. It will just distract you from the weakness for a while. This is why so many guys are obsessed with belonging. They chase a squad or a girlfriend like it's going to fix the emptiness they had before the people even showed up. It won't. That is the whole point of this video. Solitude will not make you happy if you are already empty, but it will show you exactly where the holes are, and that is where the superpower begins. I've seen it happen so many times. Guys who used to be disciplined, guys who used to train and actually work on a skill, they got scared of being the loner, so they traded their edge for a seat at a table where nobody is actually winning. Their discipline got weaker, their focus went dull. Their whole life shrank into the size of a group chat. And when they finally look up, they realize they have less progress and a worse mood than when they were alone. I felt that myself too. There was a point where I was just chasing social validation, and I could feel how heavy it was becoming. I would be on my PC, meant to be building this channel or working on a skill, and I'd be checking my messages every 2 minutes. I wanted the proof that I mattered to someone. And at some point, it hit me. This was not helping my life in any serious way. It was just eating my time. I had to learn to shut the door. I had to learn to be the guy who could sit in the silence and not break. That is when I understood something critical. A man's value is not decided by how many people text him. It is decided by what kind of person he is becoming in the moments when nobody is watching. His discipline, his direction, his self-control, that stuff only grows in the soil of solitude. When you are alone, you have the ultimate advantage, zero noise. You can hear your own ambition. You can find your own mission. You can become sharper, calmer, and more capable. But let me make something clear. This is not me telling you to become a bitter loser who says he's above people because he can't get a text back. That is pure cope. Being socially normal is a requirement. You should be able to talk to anyone. You should be able to make eye contact and lead a conversation without turning weird or desperate. That is part of being a confident man. But the difference is, a confident man chooses to be around people. A weak man needs to be around people. Stop acting like you need a circle right now. You probably don't. What you probably need is a project. You need to build your body, build your mind, and build your future. Because once a man actually has something real going for him, his loneliness disappears and is replaced by selective solitude. Now, he isn't looking for a distraction to save him. Now he is choosing who is worthy of his time. It's the butterfly example. The guy who runs around chasing butterflies usually ends up with nothing. But the guy who builds a good garden, the guy who stays in his own lane and works the soil, he ends up with all the butterflies. And even if they don't come, he still has a beautiful garden. That is how you win. Build yourself. Build your mind. Build your mind. Then the people who are actually worth something will notice that. And if they don't, you still built a strong life. That's a win either way. A lot of young men are wasting years trying to be chosen by a group instead of trying to become someone worth choosing. That mindset ruins lives. I don't think friends are useless. I think the average guy puts way too much importance on fitting in. Summer break is officially less than a month away. Just sit with that for a second. In a few weeks, the school doors lock, the alarms go silent, and you are handed the most valuable currency you will ever own. Completely unrestricted, unregulated free time. But let's be honest for a minute.